There's something here.
There.
It's built up land.
Yeah.
That's a very ancient trackway through here. And that's fascinated me for years and years. But that's the key, and that swings round here. And if there's a big feature there,
Yeah.
that fits.
Yeah.
I used to play there underneath
You underneath the bridge?
with my boyfriend.
What's
So I was having breakfast with my mate Bob the other day in a coffee shop in town, and I couldn't help noticing just over his shoulder two young ladies came in, obviously friends, had a little chit chat, ordered their coffee, probably spoke for less than 2 minutes to each other. Although I was involved in a conversation with my friend, I couldn't help noticing that within a couple of minutes of meeting, these two people had kind of dropped their eye gaze down to their phone and were both scrolling. Now a lot of people do that. They just got to check a message or something, I get that. But as my conversation with my mate continued, every sort of little pause I glanced up and I'm just aware that these two people spent the rest of their time together in silence scrolling on the phones. It really made me take a step back and think, what are we doing with our lives? I know that lots of people are waiting for an important message, so you might want your phone on the table just to collect that even though you're having coffee with someone else. I entirely understand that if you've got someone who's ill or, you know, there's some domestic emergency going on at home. Of course you want to be notified in case you have to respond, I get that. But I really don't think that this was that. It's just that, you know, we all do it. That just if you're self-aware, you're aware that your face just goes into sleep mode. That sort of gormless resting face we all have. Yeah, they spent the rest of their time together, not speaking, just looking at their phones. Not together, just looking at their own phone. Morning. Now, if you're a friend of mine, you'll know that I don't tolerate such nonsense. If I've agreed to meet for breakfast or coffee or whatever, I have not come to meet you to watch you stare at your phone. To be fair, I mean, probably for less than a decade, isn't it? The world has completely changed. Yeah, we've had smartphones, I think, since about 2009. I think I bought my first iPhone. In fact, my one claim to fame is I was the first person ever to buy an iPhone in Stowmarket. I queued up in a queue of 3 outside Carphone Warehouse. Bought the phone. I've got a smartphone. But what none of us saw coming was social media. And, you know, back in the old days, you'd have a website or something. And I think even social media originally had a bottom to the page. So you'd scroll down and you get to the bottom of the page. And that's how websites used to work. But then the endless scroll was invented, wasn't it? Where there's no end to the web page that you're looking at. Every time you scroll, it adds more to the bottom. You scroll again, it adds more to the bottom. But what we've got to ask ourselves now is, do we want actual friends? Friends, not friends like online, but do we want friends that we can have a coffee with, we can go for breakfast with or go for lunch with? And do we want to speak to them? Now, I am aware that some of you will be watching this on your phone. I'm not trying to make anyone feel guilty. I'm just asking questions about what we're doing with friendships, because I can assure you when you get older and you get to my age sort of thing, it's quite difficult to make new friends. And when you're in your sort of 20s and 30s, particularly 20s, I think, it's much easier, and teens I guess, much easier to make friends and establish friends, and if you nurture those friendships, the friendships will grow. I think what a basic human need is to be seen and heard, really. And if two of you meet together, you're not looking or listening to each other, then the friendship just, it withers on the tree, really. Just pausing for a moment because I've not been down this footpath before, so I haven't got a clue where I'm going. So where does that one go? Ooh. Let's just have a look here before we come back to the phone thing. And I think just go to the same place but round a different way. I mean, social media, particularly the internet generally, is designed to be addictive, so that there's technology behind the programming to keep you involved, to keep you engaged online. Social media companies have actually employed people from Las Vegas casinos, because the casinos have all worked out how to keep you involved on the slot machines, on the fruit machines and so on. And there's a psychology to keep you connected, so like it's just promising you one more go, you might get something, you might get a reward. And that's the other thing, the whole social media thing triggers the dopamine effect, like the feel-good hormone. But the thing is, you can wear it out, you can't overdo that. So in real life, you have moments where you're bored, restless perhaps, and then you engage with a friend or go on a trip, and you get the dopamine hit of the reward of, oh, I'm doing something that's really good. But what the endless scroll does, keep scrolling up your screen, it triggers smaller little hits of dopamine, so it is a drug. And social media is designed to be addictive, there's no question, that's an established scientific fact. I think it was also proven in the law court recently against Instagram, I think. So in this way, in this situation that I witnessed, which I've seen lots of times before, but I don't think I've ever seen it so, that the actual face-to-face meeting was so short, less than 2 minutes, and the whole coffee meeting was done in silence with both people just staring at their phones. I don't think I've ever seen that before to that extent. And of course in the early days we were all tempted in things like Facebook and that in the early days, where there wasn't any advertising. There wasn't any advertising on any of the social medias when they started out. And then they snuck 1 or 2 ads in and think, oh, I've got an advert. Occasionally now on the social media, you're scrolling up your friends' photographs and everything. But now, if you're on something like Instagram, for example, it's a little experiment when you're on your own, not when you're having coffee with a friend, supposedly. Do a count, do an audit. So, open your Instagram, or whatever the thing is, and do it very slowly. And so, you're going to count the first post. Is it an advert, or is it something one of your friends has posted, or one of the people you follow has posted? Okay, that counts as 1. The next item, is that from someone you're following or you're friends with, or is it an ad? And I did this a while back, and absolutely astonished. Well, it confirmed my suspicions that now, certainly on my feed, every third post at least, or at most, anyway, every third post is an ad. It's an advertisement for something, and they're tracking you anyway, so it might be something that you're interested in, but they're trying to reel you in to buy something. So you get 2 things from people you follow, then an advert. 2 more things from people you follow, then an advert. But sometimes you only get 1 thing from a real person, and then you get a couple of adverts. So basically, you're spending your time sucking in advertising and information that you don't need. You didn't wake up this morning thinking, I wanted to go and research such and such a thing, and you sat watching pointless videos. I mean, it is the question of what are we doing with our lives. So so-called social media has really become antisocial media, in my opinion. It's like these 2 people I saw. It didn't help them socialise. It forced them in a way almost, or encouraged them to be antisocial. And then do an audit of what you're actually looking at. It's 90% AI slop, pointless, stupid videos that someone's made with AI, so not real. And or it's advertising. Yeah, advertising, AI slop, or angry white men. I don't want any of those things on my phone, really, on my screen. The tricky thing is that we've gone down the model that advertising pays for everything. And then obviously the companies that run the platforms, indeed including this one that you are watching now, have become so greedy in maximising ad revenue, and you can't fail to notice the increase in ads on YouTube. I personally block adverts in the middle of my videos because I don't like watching other people's videos, and you're into something that could be quite deep or, you know, fascinating, and then you get an advert for something to clean your kitchen floor with, or what to put down your toilet to make it smell nice. Drives me up the blooming wall. I keep getting adverts for nappies. Well, I mean, our kids have grown up. My grandson's in his 20s. Why does the algorithm think I'm interested in, you know, nappies and baby wipes? I got one a couple of years back. This might disturb me. I got one a couple of years back, and it kept repeating for exhumation services. In other words, to exhume a body from the ground. If you've got someone that's buried in a graveyard and for some reason you need to exhume the body, dig it up and get it out, these people provide that service. Why the heck am I getting adverts for that? I've never personally buried anyone in secret or in public. I have conducted a lot of funerals in my past, that's true. I've conducted over 500 funerals. That was decades ago, it's not a recent thing. Yeah, I don't understand. But you know, they say, oh, we need the algorithm so you get targeted ads that you'd be interested in. Disposable nappies and digging bodies up. I mean, what the heck am I watching to cause that? I don't know. And the thing is, all that AI slop, angry white men and advertising, it's mushing your brain. It's physically changing the shape of your brain. This is what scientists are discovering. So I try to keep off it. I've deleted Facebook and Twitter, or X as it's now called, since the weirdo took over. Yeah, I don't have that on my phone. I only kept a Facebook account just on the desktop computer, just because I've got a lot of distant relatives that I lost touch with for many years. I don't want to lose touch with them again. But I will go on there. They can message me if they need to. If there's family news that we all need to know. But I will go on there perhaps once every 3 months. The only other time I go on, because I know some of you guys pick up my videos from my Walks and Wonders Facebook page. The only other time I go is when I post a video. I just put a little post on Facebook so that those that are not subscribed on YouTube can pick up the video. But I don't always have a look at anything else. Sometimes I just post the video and get off again. So in 2019, Asa Raskin, I think he's called, I think that's how he pronounces his name, expressed regret. He was the guy that invented the endless scroll. His ethos is to produce technology that helps the human race, and he thought that could be useful, the endless scroll thing, but now he's seen the consequence of it. He deeply regrets inventing it, which is an interesting development. Yes, if we ever go for coffee in person and you start scrolling on your bleep phone, I shall mention it, because I'm not wasting my time watching other people scroll on the phones. I've no desire to spend the years I have left watching someone scroll on the phone. We can all do that at home, really. Oh, but just think, do you need them apps on your phone? Just let yourself this is a really good mental health tip. Let yourself be bored for once in your life. You don't always need background noise. And I know people avoid just being still, alone with their own thoughts, because they're scared of what those thoughts might be. They're scared of thinking about things they didn't want to reflect on or address in their own lives. I get that. But for me, this is the recharge. Just in nature, no music, but the bird song. No buildings, but for the pillars of this forest cathedral of trees and the tree canopy. Yeah, I think this has been shown to restore a good, healthy mind, good mental health state. I mean, for a lot of people, the phones have become like crack cocaine. It's a real addiction. And I used to, when I was a little kid, I was aware, because my dad works nights, he works shifts rather, so he was sometimes on early, sometimes on late, sometimes on nights. So my dad could be in bed at any time of day. He'd get to work when we were going to bed, be coming home from work when we were having breakfast. So his sleep patterns were all over the place. But one of the things I remember being a little kid is when he woke up, he'd reach on the chair at the side of the bed for a packet of cigarettes. First job of the day, light a cigarette while you woke up. And of course he did, because he was addicted to tobacco. I think he gave up later in life, possibly. I know he tried a few times. But when I was a kid, both parents were smokers, quite heavy smokers, and addicted to tobacco. But that thing of you wake up and the first thing you do is reach for the cigarette packet. Well, I mean, that's been replaced now by first thing you do when you wake up, you reach for your phone, for the current modern addiction. No smoke or matches involved, but it's an addiction all the same. Yeah, I'm only sharing this just because I'm concerned about my own well-being and other people's well-being. And those two girls in the coffee shop that morning, I don't know who they were, I don't know who they are, I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't judge them. I think they're kind of victims of modern life, this social media addiction that we're involved in. They're not on their own at all. Yes, so a couple of ways I've got rid of that addiction is delete the apps off your phone. It's too convenient to have them on your phone because you just, you get a second where you're not doing anything, get your phone out, get on with your addiction, scroll. So I prevent that from happening. People say, oh, did you hear about so-and-so? No, I didn't, because I've been living my life, boring as it is. I don't know what the headlines are, generally. If there's breaking news, I'm not gonna hear it really until maybe the evening or the next day. So that's one thing, got rid of the apps off my phone. And then the other thing, so I like to have a coffee in bed in the morning, and I guess I do like to stimulate the brain first thing. So one of the things I did, I've normally got a book on the go, either a fictional book or a biography or, the non-fiction book. So I started reading a book in the morning while I was having my morning coffee. And that's a different experience completely. Even if you'd like to do it on a Kindle, which is technically still a portable screen, but it's very different with that sort of liquid ink. It's not shining lights in your eyes and there's no advertising and all the rest of it. But reading a book is quite therapeutic compared to scrolling. And then the thing I'm doing at the minute is that the library, I got a library card last year. Yeah, did you know? Maybe I'll do a video on this. If you get a library card, you can download some apps. Don't download them on your phone. Although, yeah, they're quite different. They're not social media apps. I've got a little iPad. And you can download all the daily newspapers and magazines. So sometimes I read the newspaper or a magazine. I still like trying to keep up with what's happening in the Apple computer world, that's the system I use. So there's a couple of Mac computer magazines there, all for free with your library card. I've dabbled in the oldie magazine. Shouldn't really. That's a dangerous step, isn't it? But I like the writing style in some of those articles. And sometimes I just read a daily newspaper on the iPad, which is like turning pages and reading a book. It's just the digital version of the print version of the newspaper. And with those, there is no endless scroll because each publication has an end. And when you get to the end, you have to go to another publication or switch it off. So there isn't that endless scroll. Well, here we are at the Shepherd and Dog. I've set off today not really knowing what I'm doing, where I'm going. And here we are. It's a bit early for a drink, but I don't drink anyway. Lakeside Cafe there. Could go for a coffee, but I don't really want to do that. So I think what we'll do is we're going to cross the Rattlesden River on this little humpback bridge. Alright. And then we'll pick up a footpath along the farmer's field, a permissive footpath. And we'll come back into town, down Giles Lane. We'll just cross over. This is Burford Bridge, which made Steve Williams, the local historian, who's no longer with us, think that there was a castle just over there at one point.
In Burford, I've always been fascinated by Burford. Why did that get its name of Burford Bridge just round the corner there? So that was the clues that it was a ford. Area just behind here, where it shows as a mound, which is the old name for a burr, which is like where any burrs are built with a castle or something like that, sort of a fortified or made up feature.
Right.
And that would be the ford for the burr.
Yeah.
And that's here.
So there's probably something.
I reckon this corner, which Jude explained, is going to be built on shortly.
Yeah.
And that's also on the Google Earth maps, shows a ring ditch in this corner as well.
Right. So
There's something here. That's built upland.
Yeah.
That's a very ancient trackway through here. And that's fascinated me for years and years. But that's the key, and that swings round here. And I found a big feature there.
Yeah.
That fits.
Yeah.
Across the road here. Take your life in your hands here on this corner. And it's just a few yards on the road, or by the road, till we get to the footpath. As I said, you're risking life and limb on this bit. You see the footpath sign here. Which goes up that hill, but there's a permissive footpath that follows the line of the road. Well, in the unlikely event you're still watching, do let me know your thoughts on mobile phones. Have I been a bit judgmental of other people? I'm not intending to be. I'm more just sort of sharing my thoughts on why I don't do that when I meet with friends. Crops are coming up now. They're in spring, so it's May. Middle of May, really. Crops are coming. Do a walk over that hill soon, I think. Do a little circular there. Obviously we don't really have hills in Suffolk, but for us that slight rise counts as a mountain. Whenever I come out for a walk, I'm always aware and always grateful of this country that we live in. I mean, my lot are not from here. They were from Ireland, stuck in a bog in the 1200s. But in 1864, they ran out of potatoes. And so I'm watching 1 million people starve. Thankfully, one of my ancestors, or two of my ancestors, got on a boat to Manchester and came here. I'm very glad they did. And unsurprisingly, immigrants at that time were hated on. People were angry. People didn't want the Irish. Boarding houses would often have a sign that said No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. That was the level of racism my ancestors faced. But I did what the Irish did, they persevered. And they established themselves in Manchester at the time when the cotton mills were booming. A lot of them were labourers for builders. Another one went into sort of furniture, sort of polishing and stuff like that, finishing furniture. Yeah, it's only since I've done the family history, discovered all that. But I'm so thankful to have been born on this island, and I hope I've made a contribution to the world. I think I have. I did spend a year on benefits once, not through desire, I can tell you. Yeah, back in the 70s, 1970s. Yeah, I was out of work for a year. It was around the time unemployment first reached 1 million people. Just applied for jobs every flipping day. Or, you know, I looked for jobs every day. That's not true, I didn't apply for them every day. There just weren't enough to apply for. Always down in the job centre. First job of the day. Offered to take on jobs that paid next to nothing. Wasn't expecting a lot of money. Didn't really have any qualifications. Worked in factories and stuff. Eventually pulled myself up by my own bootstraps, as I say. But other than that one horrible year of thinking I'd never work again, yes, I've been employed all my life. Though sometimes it has to be said, I created the jobs that I had. Yeah, I didn't. At the last job I had, I sort of made it up, created it myself. One of the other reasons I'm quite passionate about not ignoring your friend when you meet together for coffee or whatever is one of my regrets in life was I was always too quick to move on to the next season in life. Moved around a bit and I kind of forgot the friends from the previous place or the previous job. When I look back, like for example, I used to work for Save the Children Fund in Manchester with little preschool kids and childminders, and the team we had were all a bit quirky, generally sort of a bit hippie-ish. When I look back in life, they were such great people, and they probably wouldn't say that, but there was a little community. You could just call on each other out of work hours because we lived in the same area. We all went to lunch most days together. We planned things and argued about things, and yeah, it's a shame to disconnect with all of those people. There's some particular I would like to reconnect with. I mean, I've tried to trace people and track them down. Can't find them, and at our age you have to think, well, they might not still be here. Yeah, because I think I was sort of one of the younger ones of the team, so I've got to take into account it could be like, yeah, they're probably 5 to 7 years older than me, so who knows what's happened. But I miss them, and I miss other people from the past, and I miss people from the youth club I used to go to. I've reconnected with 1 or 2 of those. Some have passed on, unfortunately, but most of them I wouldn't know how to get hold of them. And I think, you know, it's quite possible they feel why we want to connect with him, as he cleared off to London, never contacted us. It's very true, very true. Guilty as charged. I was in a rush to the next season in life. Big mistake. I was in a rush, not realising that the life so far, the recent past, was the stepping stone that got me to where I was going. And I don't know why I did that. I was sort of moved on, made new friends, forgot the old ones. Big mistake. And that's the other thing, we might, you know, if you're on a social media platform, you might say, you know, so-and-so's got 153 friends or 500 friends, or have you? Have you? Friends? No, most of mine are either relatives, which is the important thing for me to keep in touch with them, or acquaintances mostly, with a couple of exceptions of people I was at college with and what have you, who are special friends. And I wish we all lived closer together, but we don't. So you have to make a real effort to go and see them, which I hope to do soon. Well, look at this day. The clouds have parted, the sun has come out. So for locals, some of you may have guessed that I'm just on Coombs Lane, and I'm going to cut through the little footpath. It goes back into town, past Danecroft Cottage, and there's quite a few videos about Danecroft Cottage on this channel. Find out more there. Going over a little footbridge over the Rattlesden River, or the River Rat as it's sometimes known in these parts, and fond memories of interviewing a lady and a gentleman who were, shall we say, up the steep end of the learning curve. I think she's passed away now, but she told us about canoodling under this bridge.
Would you like to walk down to the bridge and have a look from the bridge and just look over? That's all we're going to do. And look, I'd like you to see the bridge now.
I used to play there underneath
Underneath the bridge.
with my boyfriend.
Was
Not felt, not guilty.
No,
that your husband or an earlier?
no, he's gone.
An earlier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how could you get under the bridge? Did he not sink in the water?
No, we used to get under there. But you see, this was all clear and there was all pebbles and everything there.
Yeah.
And we used to get down here. Yeah,
Yeah, there's still loads of flint on the bottom.
yeah.
So this is the bridge, and Five Finger Wood is just over there.
Over there.
Oh, I can tell you about Five Finger
What
Wood.
can you tell me about
Oh,
that? There you
that
go.
you didn't
That's
know.
not, I haven't got to talk. Listen to the voice. Yeah.
So Hazel, what did you get up to?
Nothing. We behaved ourselves.
Even
looking-
though you were there all day long.
Yes.
Let's see if I got a name in.
See, look.
Just make sure I got a name in there.
And what was this? A group of girls?
That's why I don't recognise you.
What was that?
I never saw your face, did I?
No. You was interested in everything else, weren't you?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well,
Took
you
all
weren't
day.
interested in the face. You must have been.
So,
Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the red subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notifications of new videos. And I'll see you in the next one.